What's going on, everybody?
Going on?
How we doing? Did we
Hopefully
win?
We've got some hardware. Hopefully,
Did we win? Did we make it?
Yeah. Did anybody? How many rings? How many trophies were won this past week? I know you got a couple.
Yes, I got a few. Dirtbag, what's up? Elout, how we doing?
What's going on, guys? Dirtbag. I know Dirtbag's got your finals this weekend.
Looks like it.
So obviously, early good luck. But yeah, anybody else who's flaunting some hardware, or has any championships to brag about, this is the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's hear those stories. I didn't have too many. I didn't bring home. I got one small, like $15 12-teamer. I won that league. Outside of that, not too much to write home about this year. Did okay in best ball. I advanced some teams into the knockout rounds, and that's going to be some off-season content that you guys can look for from me specifically this year. We'll be doing best ball analysis among other things. But Yeah, it's back to the drawing board a little bit for me as far as final results from a personal perspective.
And that's why we play Dynasty, dude.
Yep.
Because then
Yes,
it never
sir.
ends, right?
Right. You can go right back to the drawing board today if you want to. But with that being said, do want to make sure that we talk to the people. See if we can help out. If you are in fact still playing. If you are in fact still playing.
Says, so my opponent has Devontae Adams. How much do you think he plays next week? Like two series?
Probably not that much.
Enough to get a few catches, maybe get a touchdown, and then leave.
Yeah, get your feet wet, get a couple snaps just for the sake of it. I don't even know if teams really do that anymore with their stars in these scenarios. Adams isn't going for any records. He had more touchdowns last year than he did this year. He's not going to have 7 touchdowns in a game,
right?
Or 8 to break his own record. He's a couple yards shy of 1,500. So if he wanted that nice round number, and the Packers were willing to let him go get it, okay, maybe, but he only needs 2 or 3 yards. That's the only scenario I can think of if Adams, if he wants to play and the team lets him actually do it, that's a double-edged sword there, or it's twofold, whatever the correct terminology is there. Probably won't play that much. That's the point. So, that's a factor for Week 18 championships is, guys on good NFL teams might not play this week, and Adams is a candidate to not play. So if you're facing him, you could be catching a huge break.
Yeah. I really don't see. I don't see a game plan to which they play him very much, if at all.
Not really a reason to. They have the 1 seed locked up. Green Bay does.
Right.
That's the story. Don't have any, there's no incentive for him to play unless he wants that nice round 1,500 yard number. And that's if the Packers let him actually go get it. So, yeah.
And then he hits that and then he sits.
Right.
So
1 5-yard catch does it, and then he's out,
Yep.
So, but yeah, if you got a team full of guys on playoff hopefuls, NFL playoff hopefuls, then you're in good shape. If you've got the best guys on the best teams this week.
Unless you're in the game where they need to tie to get in. Who is it?
Sure.
Wasn't it the Raiders and whoever the Raiders' opponent is?
They
both need to tie, and then they're into the.
And then they're both in or something like that.
Yeah.
There's wacky playoff clinching scenarios every year.
But Dirtbag, you also asked Gesicki, Uzoma, or Conklin. If Kirk is back, would you go Conklin?
No, I'd probably go Uzoma because I think the Bengals are the only team left playing for they could still, I think, improve their seeding. I believe.
Okay.
The Dolphins, didn't the Dolphins get eliminated? Did the Dolphins get eliminated from playoff contention?
I don't know. They might have.
I'm gonna take it. I should know this. Can the Dolphins make the playoffs? They needed to win their final 2 games. That included last week. They lost. I would be wary of teams not playing for anything in general. And if the Dolphins are a team not playing for anything, I'm not necessarily crazy about playing their guys. The Bengals, I'm pretty sure, can still, they have a long shot, but they could end up the 1 seed. So they're still playing for something.
Okay.
It's a long, right? They need the Chiefs and the Titans to lose.
Did come through to a certain extent last week, even with Mannion in there. He was the security blanket.
The Dolphins are eliminated.
They don't have Thielen for the end of the season.
Yeah, but
if Kirk comes back, maybe.
But he was battling a hamstring injury, and that was a game that the Vikings were still mathematically alive in. If he's dealing with a hamstring injury, they might just.
No, I see your point.
They're eliminated, and same with Gesicki. I think Gesicki's is Gesicki a free agent after this year?
Yes.
Regardless, like,
Yes.
are they? So he might. Okay, so
And
he
so
might
they could
play.
go to Hunter Long, who they've been giving more snaps.
Well, he
the
might
past few
play.
weeks.
He might want to play to boost his potential for a contract. How that specifically plays out, I don't know. I would go with, I think, what I feel like is the safest situation week 18 is the guy attached to a team playing for something. And the Bengals, though it's a long shot, could still advance, could still enhance their seed. They could still improve.
I could see it.
I would play Uzoma. He's been decently involved. He hasn't, he hasn't put any, big ceiling weeks for a tight end recently, but he's been involved. Last week, 4 catches, 32 yards.
Yeah, and with what Chase and
before
Higgins
that,
have
5
been
for
doing,
36.
the opposing teams might just really bracket those guys with 2 players, and then it
Good.
leaves Uzoma. So
Leave
yeah,
things
I don't
open.
hate it.
And the Bengals are playing. Sorry, I'm a little sniffly today. I'm getting attacked by allergies over here, but gonna power through. I know sniffling is not the best, but the Bengals are playing the Browns too, who are completely mailed it in. Like they're toast. They're done. So nothing scary about the matchup there.
And Dirtbag looking to cash in on 1,800. All right.
Let's
That's what I
get
like
that
to
money.
see.
Let's get that money. I think I'd lean Uzoma
going
just
on,
because he's the player on the team playing for something.
Oh, yo. Good to hear, Iago. Glad you got that first win.
Let's go. That's what you want to hear. Happy to hear it, Iago. And happy to hear that we were able to, provide any type of insight or advice that maybe helped out with a lineup decision here or there. So that's awesome.
Yep. And Big Pun, you already know. Thanks for stopping through.
Hell yeah, man. Talk about making the playoffs. Birds are in the playoffs. I'm hoping the Eagles rest their starters or whatever this. I don't want them to necessarily
because you were
lose.
not predicting that they would make it into the playoffs at the beginning of the season.
No, not at all. Nobody was. How could you possibly, after last year, look at this roster and think this could be a team that, even is the 6 or 7 seed? Like nobody was picking the Eagles, and I could certainly not.
Well, no, just even as a fan, you weren't.
No, I was saying that I thought they would be better than people were giving them credit for, because the situation was so bad last year that there was nowhere to go but up. But I didn't expect playoffs. That being said, they have a chance to match up with the Rams, and I know that's lopsided on paper, but I might try to go to that game if they end up playing the Rams. So hopefully we rest some starters, Big Pun. Rest some guys, get them healthy. If they lose this game, so be it. They're not going to be better than a 6 or 7 seed regardless. So, if that means that I got a shot at going to a playoff game, I'll take it. Because I would look at, living in LA, I would absolutely look into going to the game if they were to end up matching up with the Rams.
True.
So, but anyway.
And Dirtbag, go with the Buffalo defense. They're playing the Jets.
Yeah.
They're playing the Jets. They're still, even without Trade A, they're still one of the best defenses in the league. So
yeah, they had another good good week last week.
Yep.
They didn't have a huge week, but they didn't hurt you. They didn't hurt you last week. So there you go. Yeah, I would play the Bills. I would not play Washington.
No.
Who are they? Well, they're playing the Giants.
I like a lot of the pieces on that defense individually, but no.
I was wrong to like the Packers defense this past weekend over the Bears. That's just that's not necessarily an indictment on the Packers. It's just when I was saying target the Giants offense, target that. They are atrocious. The Giants are awful. There is
Yeah.
there is a case to be made to play the Washington defense. That's how bad. It's not not an indictment on the Buffalo Bills. It's literally the Giants are that bad on offense.
Right, but we are talking about a Buffalo defense that's going up against the Jets, who aren't very good either. I get the opponent plays it.
Jets surprised people against
Plays into it here, but
the Tampa Bay Bucks defense was not a good play this past
Yeah.
weekend but that was a little bit more. It's not a division game. It's it's Tom. The Jets are playing Tom Brady. It's like an old nemesis. Like maybe they were up for the game. I don't know. Not for this particular group of Jets, but
well, hey, if you want to roll with Washington,
I don't know.
It's not terrible based off of the
No,
matchup.
not playing the Giants. Not playing the Giants. It's not terrible.
But I would roll with Buffalo, and that's not even me being a fan of Buffalo. That's just
Buffalo's just the better team,
the
better unit.
Defense.
Plus, they're playing for something. They haven't clinched the division yet. So,
right.
Whereas Washington is playing to get to the golf course, same as the Giants. So that competitive element would also be obviously in Buffalo's favor.
Yep.
I mean, at this time of year, if you're still playing, look for guys on teams that have something to play for. That at the very least, you're getting somebody with not just a full complement of snaps,
the chat isn't showing again.
But some extra motivation to actually continue to produce. Yeah, I see that the chat is not coming up. So hopefully we can get that fixed. In the meantime, I don't know if we said hi to Elout. What's going on, Elout? Just saw that a little earlier. No bragging here. No bragging for me either, man. John got a couple of trophies, so congrats to him. Can't say the same over on this side, but the work begins for next year. While you're taking a look at the chat, we don't have anything new coming in yet. Obviously, if anybody plays anything other than redraft, you can of course be on the lookout for us during the off season. We are not going away. This is not a channel that only lives 6 months a year. Or it's not like we resurface in July and we're gonna hibernate now. Plenty of off-season content to talk about, plenty of stuff to get through. Full disclosure, to be completely honest, DFS stuff like for the NFL playoffs, probably not in the cards here. We both play. I don't know if I would take advice from me about DFS. We're just not quite there yet. So probably not on the lookout for that. But rookie profiles will start to come up. We have the combine. Well, we still have we have the national championship game to get to, of course, but I don't know if there's any other bowl games left to go other than that. There might be a couple.
The Senior Bowl, it does mean
that's after the season. I meant like any bowl games for teams.
You were just
obviously more for individuals.
Off-season stuff, the Senior Bowl, the draft. We're gonna cover all that.
Yeah, the combine. We'll watch the combine, but the combine is just the combine's just a workout. I mean, obviously, it's still important. People care about that stuff. People care about metrics. They care about analyzing how the players did, how the prospects did in their drills.
That matters for certain.
Huge.
I mean, for tight ends, that's huge for me. You already know, man. After the combine, we get that RAS score.
That's when we can start identifying the prospects that we like at the position.
Yeah.
So, combine, of course, the draft, free agency. We'll have plenty of content wrapped around all of that stuff. So, just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who's interested beyond the actual season itself. We will have plenty of content throughout the off season. So, be on the lookout for that.
Anybody else playing in a championship this week? Anybody else besides Dirtbag?
Yeah, I mean most leagues, every league I play in, nearly all leagues I'm aware of. They go till the second to last week of the season. The first time I ever played, like the very first year I ever played, it was week 17 at the time. We went all the way to week 17. Won that one with like Patrick Ramsey as my quarterback. Whatever. But that's just, I had guys who were sitting that week.
Yeah. I remember Matt Flynn was a big one year.
Yeah, he won people championships.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yep.
But
and yo, Chuck, man, I'm glad you got one.
Chuck. Yeah,
one's better than none.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take one. Two
you
is
had
good.
Joe Burrow,
one you
Chase Stack. You also had
take
Penny, Bears D. All right. Nice.
Smart. Good
and
combination.
Interested in what dynasty platforms you recommend for dynasty? We found that Sleeper has been really nice for both
Sleeper's
the
good.
Commissioner side and the just the general regular user side.
Yeah, the layout is good. It's user friendly. It's very mobile friendly. It's good for people who like to use their phones for fantasy. Sleeper is good. It's pretty easy to navigate as far as from a commissioner standpoint, making changes to the default settings. If you have like questions, I always just, like anybody else I just start typing a question into my Google search bar when I'm like, what, literally anything. So I'll do the same thing with Sleeper. It's just like, how do I do this? And they have a whole, section on how-tos, how to do something, how to change something. So
they have good alerts. They got a whole
Sleeper's pretty friendly. Yeah.
Other different social media aspect into it where you can
they do
communicate on the alerts with people.
Yeah, you can interact on those. That's cool. Yeah, they're good with breaking news. Sleeper pulls almost directly from anything that's posted on Twitter. They like automatically turn that into an update. They must have a bot do that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they got a feed from somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Probably sportsdata.io, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, we've looked at that.
Yeah.
So Sleeper's really good. The other platform that I know that I used for 1 year is MFL. It's just my fantasy league. The upside to MFL is the customization is second to none.
Off the charts. Yeah.
You can create rules completely independent of anybody else or any other league. You can make it your own. The downside to that is you have to literally physically manually set everything up. There are no default settings for MFL when you set up your league. Like right down to, I had to build like the playoff tree. Like when the playoffs started, the playoff tree was not like, it wasn't like the data was pulled or on the servers end.
It's not quite as streamlined, but it has more customability or whatever. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of manual lifting, but if you're somebody that likes to, if you and your league mates love to customize rules, create, different unique rules or changes, or you have different ideas, then MFL is the spot for you. But you have to set it all up by yourself. So ultimately, I would suggest Sleeper.
I mean, we've tried both. A lot of people liked one, didn't like the other. It seems like most people, since we've moved from MFL to Sleeper just because it was a lot to handle. Everybody's liked it pretty much. Nobody's complained about Sleeper outside of like when we first moved over.
No, I like Sleeper.
Elias,
Sleeper's a good
sorry
one.
to hear that. Yeah, they used Najee a whole lot more in that Steelers game than I thought they would.
Well, the whole idea was it's like, oh, it's Ben Roethlisberger's send-off, and then we were quickly reminded why that was the case. I mean,
because
he can't do it anymore.
No.
It's obvious he can't do it anymore. He had 123 passing yards on 46 attempts. Like, pretty bad.
Yeah, that used 2 years ago. That was getting him 500 yards.
Yeah. Now
remember when he had a few of those 500-yard games back in the like 2 to 3 years ago?
I do. Well, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
So
No
sorry, Elias. He should have gotten down too. He should not have scored. The correct play is to knee it at the 1, and then you can your team can
I mean,
kneel it down and end the game.
were they
kill the
playing for
clock.
anything?
The Steelers are looking to play, are still alive for a playoff spot. The Browns were dead going into the game. But yeah, that's a backbreaker. That's yeah, man, that just sucks. That's pain. We've been there. We all, I mean, as fun as it is to win, we've all had heartbreaking losses. It's just unfortunate.
Yep.
Sorry to hear it.
But hey, you got to the championship, so.
You got to the game. You were in the dance. So at the end of the day, like the glass half full.
There's something to be said for that. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to give yourself some credit for the job that you did to get there. You know,
it might not feel great in the moment, but yeah, it does count to a certain extent. You can say, yeah, but I came second. Got that silver. But Dirtbag, your team is Herbert, St. Brown, Samuel, Renfro, Mitchell, Burkhead, Uzoma. All right, Buffalo defense, Colts kicker. Do you have anything to say about the kicker? See if there's anybody else out in there in the wire you like.
No, Badgley's good. Badgley's good. He's been rock solid since the Colts signed him, since the Colts picked him up. So you're fine there. I don't know. Where is that game? If they're in the dome, then they're fine. Oh, that's right. They're on the road in Jacksonville. I mean, look, you have to, if you can't score points at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, then you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And that's what the Colts are playing for. So Badgley's fine. Obviously keep an eye on the weather. Dirtbag, just keep like check the weather for Jacksonville by the end of the week. As long as it's clear and there's not a lot of wind and there's not a lot of rain in the forecast, like he should be fine. I don't know what the Florida weather is right now at this moment, and obviously it could change between now and the end of the week. But obviously that's just something you want to keep an eye on. If it's like monsoon season down in Florida, then we want to pivot off of the Colts kicker. But just keep that in mind. Keep the weather. Keep in mind to check the weather. And as long as it's fine, as long as the weather's okay, not too much wind, not too much rain, if any at all, then he's fine.
And yo, Chuck, man, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Even though I'm a sniffling mess today.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time, so it's good to know that
I created
chemistry.
this monster. I take credit for that.
Yeah. You got me into your camera turned off.
Sorry, I got it.
Cool.
I'm bouncing between a couple of tabs just to make sure I have my information.
You started me on this fantasy drug. So.
Yeah, I did that. I've created several monsters.
Yep.
But anyway.
And St. Brown is going to be overvalued next season.
I agree.
These next few games, probably.
I agree. Yep, that
in
is
every community redraft,
a very
keeper,
fair
dynasty.
take.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to say about this. And Jay Hill, I'm very happy you brought this up. Not everyone. Anyone who dubs themselves an expert or an analyst and not to poo-poo this train of thought or make it sound like I'm like talking down on it. I think a lot of people are going to think this way. Like this is going to be something that people look at. Anybody who's anything other than a beginner is going to look at St. Brown's recent production and they're going to devalue him as a result. So I'll be curious to see where his ADP ends up by like April or May. Because I'm not going to be afraid to still buy as long as the price is right. And if a lot of people have this same mindset, then his price will be baked, like that line of thinking will be baked into his ADP.
Well, I
if
think it
that
just
makes
completely
sense.
depends on what they do offensively over the offseason. Because if they don't bring anybody else in, and
Which
they
would
go
probably have
into
to be
next season
a
with
trade. There's not
Swift,
too many good quarterbacks
Amon
in this
Ra,
draft.
and Hawkinson, and that's it, and then maybe pick up a quarterback to groom and I don't know. Focus
So
the
right
rest on
now-
O-line and defense. Then maybe. But I think they're gonna go out and get at least one other playmaker to put around him, and I don't know how much that affects his draft stock, depending on how early of a pick that is. Because he could, I mean, we've seen wide receivers like Cortland Sutton have a hot end to a year. Then Jerry Jeudy gets drafted the next year, and they never are able to be given the chance to produce the same based off of just target share.
Plus, they'll have Hawkinson back. Plus, they'll have DeAndre Swift back.
Right.
So that's
So
on
it's
top of whatever
really too
they
early
add.
to say. It's really too early to say about St. Brown.
Right now on
As far as
Underdog Fantasy has early best ball open for 2022. Amon Ra's ADP is around 90. So
okay.
in a 10-man league, you can get him in the 9th round. In a 12-man league, you have to probably go up into the 8th round to get him if you want him. That's kind of high. Let me see who else is around that area.
No, I think he's gonna be. I mean, he might end up pushing the 6th at some point in the offseason.
At some point in the offseason,
when the hype builds, because it will. Excuse me. When the hype builds, and it will, because the hype machine is undefeated, and he's had a really hot end of the season here, and it hasn't just been like 2 to 3 weeks. It's been 6 weeks now, going on 7.
Right now, the wide receivers that are going around that same area, Jerry Jeudy's ADP is 85. Then there's a collection of a couple of guys.
Yeah, he's gonna rise up rankings if he's being ranked
Amon
around
Ra's
Jerry
at
Jeudy
89.
right now.
Kadarius Toney's at 92. Antonio Brown's at 93. That's gonna drop. Odell Beckham's at 90.
Yeah, no,
93.8.
those rankings are.
Allen Robinson's at 94. Like we're talking.
Those rankings
like,
are gonna change, man.
Of course they're gonna change. I'm throwing together right now like the names that are also in that range of ADP. Like Allen Robinson is cheaper right now than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not that I'm bullish on Allen Robinson next year without knowing his situation, where he ends up, and what the vibes are on him going into camp. But at that price, I'd rather have Allen Robinson. I'd rather take a chance on him than, to your point, Jay Hill, a few hot games from a much less proven commodity in Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Look at who his target competition is right now. It's Khalif Raymond.
Yep.
And Josh Reynolds, who was classed off from a team that was starved for talent from the wide receiver position, specifically halfway through the season.
Yeah,
at the point that they were starved for talent. They didn't have anybody. They didn't have A.J. Brown. They didn't have a couple of their tight ends. They didn't have Julio. They didn't have Derrick Henry. And they cut Josh Reynolds.
It will be
it's gonna change.
Interesting.
It's gonna change for St. Brown, but St.
It-
Brown is
it'll-
good. He is
good.
He's very good.
That's the thing.
I'm not trying to say he's not good, but he's gonna be overvalued.
If they don't drastically if they add some lesser names, and those are their free agent hauls, and his ADP is around 90, yeah, I would take him. I would take him there. But if they draft somebody high, maybe they sign somebody who's a tier 2 receiver or better. Hawkinson comes back healthy, Swift comes back healthy. Yeah, he's going to be less attractive at that price. And if it goes up, I'm probably going to be not all the way out, but I wouldn't be reaching for him in the 6th round.
Yeah, if he's available in the 8th, that's actually enticing to me.
Sure.
If he's available around Kadarius Toney and Antonio Brown, and I think Allen Robinson goes somewhere else, and his ADP changes a lot too.
Sure.
But that's around where I would take St. Brown. but his ADP is going to rise up to around the 6th, and I'm not comfortable there.
And at that point, yeah, I'm not necessarily interested in that. But yeah,
Iron never lies. Does
project.
That mean you won?
Not Iron. Yeah, he did. I know Iron got the win.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
I know Iron got the win. Oh, this is the fun part, though. You get to make the decision. Who do you want? Who was your best? Who was your best player on the squad? But also the second question is, who popped off for you in the championship game?
Yep.
Those are. Like usually it should go. I would say
in one of my leagues, it would have been. I had DK in there, but I also picked up Dario Gumbawale off the wire in a dynasty league with 30-man rosters because he was the only person there and threw him in there. And
so now you love Dario.
So I don't know who I would go with. It would probably be Dare, just because who else is gonna have a Dario Gumbawale jersey? But who did you who was your squad? Who was on your squad that was just like, yeah, you popped off for me?
I think Penny might have been on. I think it might have been Penny. But I could be wrong.
Yo, what's ETN's ADP right now? That's a good
ETN's, I just saw the question. ETN's ADP, again, this is Underdog Fantasy, early 2022 best ball. So this is obviously subject to change drastically. Is 45. So he's the RB23 right now that's being drafted. So he's being drafted as a low-end RB2. Last year he was being drafted as, well, kind of around the same RB2. Area.
Yeah.
Kind of around the same area, yeah.
And that was with James Robinson in there.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be coming back from an Achilles injury. And I know Cam Akers just came back from one in 5 months. Not everybody is Cam Akers.
Not everybody is Superman like Cam Akers. So, yeah. ETN's got clear opportunity for work week 1. There's no doubt.
It's Penny and St. Brown with 30-plus points.
There you go.
All right. That's a hard choice. Who would you go with?
I don't know. Probably St. Brown. He had a monster game. I know. Well, Penny did as well. But Penny might be changing teams. St. Brown's, that jersey's going to have a little bit of a shelf life for at least a few years.
Yeah.
I think I would go St. Brown.
True. And regardless how you feel about him being overrated as far as ADP going into next season, you can't deny that he looks like he's going to have a good career there for however long that he's there.
Yeah, looks like a prototypical slot receiver in the NFL.
And oh man, you lost CMC, Ridley, and Waller, but still won. All right, there you go. That's good off-season management, or good in-season management.
Good in-season management. Yep.
That's solid. Yep. What do you think happens to both of those first two players, CMC and Ridley? Do you think Ridley comes back?
He's still being drafted in the top 5.
I don't know if Ridley comes back, man.
We're a long way off from that.
Well, we gotta speculate.
It
does, just because we're a long way off from it doesn't mean you can't have an opinion on it. Do you think he comes back?
Yeah, I think he comes in a vacuum. Yeah, I think he comes back. I haven't heard anything that he's considering quitting football for good. There's been no indication, or there's been no information given that this was anything more than a 1-year hiatus or a 6-month hiatus, whatever you want to frame it as. So sure, I'm curious to know what his ADP is. But right now it's I'm operating under the assumption that he'll play football again.
Okay.
I have nothing else to go off of, other than the fact that he decided to walk away midway through the season. Calvin's ADP right now is 46. So people believe he'll play again. Let's put it that way.
And you had a tweet earlier on in the season, right when CMC went down again for the second time. that kind of
Yeah.
got a bunch of run on Twitter. It was about CMC being a late second round pick next year.
Yeah. People were saying, they were kind of saying, like, I'm not taking him before then. At least that's what I got. As far as responses, sorry, I have the sniffles today. That as far as responses, I got a lot of that. Like, I'm not taking him that high, Christian McCaffrey. And I'm kind of in agreement. I don't know how can I spend a top 5 pick on a guy who hasn't played more than 6 games in 2 straight years? Now, maybe you call that a statistical outlier or an anomaly, the fact that he missed all of that time in a short time frame when he didn't really have any injury issues dating back to college. But
that's a question. What
real.
are our rankings coming out of this offseason? It's got to start with JT, and then what? JT, Derrick Henry.
Assuming we got to see, we got to see Derrick Henry in the playoffs first, but tentatively he's the second pick. I would put Austin Eckler up there.
Yeah. Joe Mixon.
Mixon has to be up there. Who's number 4 in ADP? I know Eckler is 3. It goes right as far as early best ball ADP. And again, this is according to Underdog Fantasy. Like my sound effects. Taylor is 1, Henry is 2, Eckler's 3rd, even though his ADP is 4. So
yeah.
At 3, it's a crapshoot. Christian McCaffrey and then Najee Harris and then Cooper Kupp. So
Christian McCaffrey is that high still. Wow.
Is still the 4th player with an ADP of 5, but an average of the 4th player off the board.
And where are Saquon
There's
and Zeke?
no way I could do that. Where
are Saquon and Zeke? Because I think those 3 running backs, based off of where they've been drafted the past few seasons, their ADPs are going to drastically change.
Saquon's ADP is 20.
Okay. Wow.
Zeke's has fallen all the way to 32.5.
Rightfully so.
We saw, I think, yeah. I mean, Zeke is the RB 18 going off the board. Saquon is the RB 12. So Saquon's still being drafted as a borderline RB 1. Zeke is now being drafted
and
as
that
a
contract that they
RB2.
locked him up for is going to kill them.
Cap-wise,
that Cowboys team is going to be handicapped by that running back deal for the next 6 years because it's going to affect them past the duration of the deal too.
Yep.
Smart GMs don't sign running backs to long
don't
contracts
pay running backs
unless you're. Well, no, you just don't even. Unless you're Derrick Henry.
Yep.
And it's the identity of your whole team. Yeah. Mike, you had Ridley and a lot of best balls. So did I, man.
Ugh.
Really, really high ownership. I also had Cam Akers.
I had a lot of Ridley in best ball. Mike's in the second round of finals. Okay, I saw this get tossed around in the offseason where once we knew that it was going to be an 18-game schedule, one of the proposals for the fantasy playoffs was that it wasn't week 17 and week 18. It was week 16 and week 17 was a 2-week joint finals match where the finalists played 2 games over the course of 2 weeks, and your final score between those 2 weeks was the deciding factor. It wasn't like a 1 week. It wasn't a 1 week winner take all like most fantasy head-to-head leagues are every year, any given week. So that's interesting. So I haven't seen anybody. I hadn't talked to anybody who had actually implemented that. So I'm curious to know, Mike, how you feel about that, or did you happen to always have that setting, like weeks 15 and 16 as recently as last year? But the point, like week 14 is in this format. Well, it's different. It goes to week 18 in this one, but in this format, the idea was week 14 was still a playoff week. Week 15 was still a playoff week. And then week 16 and 17 were a joint match between the finalists. And it wasn't just 1 week, and the idea was that it takes away from a potential fluky finish. which you can debate that. Debate the intangibles of that, but interested to know how you like that, Mike. How you like the 2-round finals instead of keeping it 1 week. But anyway,
and yeah, Jay Hill, I
good luck
agree.
finishing it off. Chubb did nothing.
St. Brown and Buskoff, Cooper Cup. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Man, I'm getting crushed right now.
And honestly, iron never lies. Really, on your dynasty team, I think you just gotta hold him.
Yeah, just hold. You're not gonna get anything. There's not gonna be any offer that comes across right now where I'm like, yeah, I'll take that, because everyone's gonna try to lowball for him, if anything.
Yeah, you might get like a 2nd-round pick offer, and it's just
not worth it.
Hold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hold.
Yeah, just hang on.
And Jeremy, we're gonna start rolling out some rookie profiles. So Kenneth Walker is absolutely on that list.
He looks good.
I hope he doesn't go to the Dolphins.
Well,
I think the Dolphins need other need help elsewhere.
They could use a running back. They could absolutely use a running back.
I just don't want them to get good.
Well, they're gonna get somebody eventually, so
yeah.
In theory, anyway. Yeah, he looks good. Walker looks pretty strong, and we absolutely will be profiling him at some point this offseason.
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah, probably a couple.
I was talking to Nick before we started the stream. We probably want to get some stuff out before the draft on a lot of these guys, and then after the draft on a lot of these guys, so that we can analyze their landing spot. So, stay tuned for that. We'll have it. And Dirtbag Herbert is the only guy that you have left from your draft. Everybody else you got in a trade. Yeah, man.
Sometimes
trades. Usually, the championship team has been made via some sort of trade, solidified somewhere via trade. It's rare that you have a team that just steamrolls from week 1 all the way through, especially in a year like this year. So yeah, props.
It's tough because like when you draft your team, unless they get hurt, it's hard to part with some of those guys because they're your guys. You probably went into the draft or the season liking or wanting at least half of them. Maybe some of them you were like, okay, this just kind of makes sense as a pick. I wasn't planning on this guy necessarily, but like here we are. But yeah, like things come up. Injuries are it feels like injuries are more prevalent than they've ever been. And then on top of that, guys going on the COVID list and having to miss a game or two.
Yep.
There's more pivoting. There's more in-season transactions that are required now more than ever. So, yeah, like John said, nicely done.
And Iron, you think you're going to pick a player from your dynasty team to support? Maybe Najee, Javonte, or Chase?
Oh, you mean the jersey?
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Or if you're talking that you can maybe trade St. Brown for one of those guys, hey, if you can make it happen, make it happen.
Yeah, but his value is going to be the asking price is through the roof right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, same for St. Brown.
Oh, I thought
you could probably try to get Javonte for St. Brown, and maybe you add on a draft pick because the premium's on the running back. But
yeah,
I don't think you can get Chase right now. I don't think you can get Najee right now. I think you can get Javonte right now. He hasn't had boom weeks.
Maybe. Yeah, but I don't think
and your St. Brown's coming off back to back 25+ point weeks. So
I don't think the view of Javonte has changed too much just because of a couple of down weeks.
Yeah, but St. Brown's
I see your point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mike said,
and yeah, Jay Hill, it's a trap. That's a trap.
DMC? Why is it a trap?
Why is it a trap?
Yeah.
You know why it's a trap.
What if he stays healthy? That's the question that you have to pose around him.
If he stays healthy, it's because they're only giving him 8 to 10 touches a game.
He's not going to get 8 to 10. He'll still, if he's healthy, he'll get 15 at least.
Ugh. I don't think he can stay healthy. If he could stay healthy, of course, then that's a value. I just don't think if he's not
it is
one of
a
those
gamble
guys that you can count on to stay healthy. He's just
It is
not.
a gamble that I might be interested in taking here and there, but if I have the 4th overall pick, I would say at least 8 times out of 10, I'm probably not picking McCaffrey.
Unless they got a really big upgrade at quarterback, like
Sure,
a really
which they
enticing
could.
option, then maybe. But otherwise, man, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I at the end of the day, I worry about him. I mean, he played 5 games this year, 3 games last year. So he played half of a season over the course of 2 years. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to confidently spend a 1st round pick on a guy like that, no matter how good we have seen him be. That's a tough call to make.
And he can come back in a few years and be Devonta Freeman.
No.
No, I'm not saying like just in the fact that he returned from the dead basically and came out of nowhere, and now he's he was a competent fantasy running back for a long stretch in this season. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's that kind of output. Obviously, you would expect the output to be a lot higher if it's CMC. But yeah, I think if anybody can come back from the dead and resurrect his value, it's CMC. I just don't know how high that value is going to go, and I just don't know how long that stretch of being back to himself will last. So I'd rather,
if it lasts,
I'd rather put my fantasy equity elsewhere. More steady asset.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Also, when Robert Woods comes back, is the Rams wide receiver core a core to avoid?
Well, right now Cooper Kupp is being drafted as the wide receiver 1.
Is OBJ's on a 1-year deal, right?
I don't know his contract situation.
I think OBJ's on a 1-year deal. And with that team and what their salary cap situation should be, I don't think they resign him. Unless they cut Robert Woods to sign him, which could be a possibility. Maybe they just like him more.
Yeah, he is on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
He is on a 1-year deal. So they could bring him back if there's mutual interest, but we don't know how that.
And Robert Woods' situation is,
well, he tore his ACL. Well, it was a torn ACL for Woods.
He signed through 2025. What?
Oh, they locked him up.
What's his dead cap sitch?
Robert Woods?
Yeah, Robert Woods. If they cut Robert Woods in 2022, it would cost them $12 million.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
So they're not going to do that. So they're probably not going to re-sign OBJ. It was just a 1-year rental. So then their offense goes back to Robert Woods playing second fiddle, but being a decent second fiddle. I don't think he falls off too much. I know he's 30, coming off an injury.
30 coming off the ACL is a bit concerning.
Yeah, but they had enough faith as an organization to lock him up until 2025.
Well, that was a contract that was signed before the injury,
and he costs at least $4 million against the cap until 2024. Like, I don't see them moving on from him.
Definitely not this year. Not with that $12 million dead cap hit. It cuts in half in 2023.
It goes to 6.8 or 6.4 in 2023.
Right, maybe then, but even then, that's still a decent amount of money to absorb.
And that's post June 1st. After June 1st, it's
I got to be honest.
Well, no, it's
J.
still
Hill,
combined.
I
Whatever.
think Woods might be in a void next year, even if his ADP is coming in like where it looks like it's a bargain. Like, oh, I can get him in the 8th round or something. It's just guys coming off of an ACL injury.
He wasn't putting it together really before OBJ was signed, before he got hurt. He was kind of hit or miss.
Didn't he have a couple of weeks?
He had a couple of weeks, but they were interspersed by some stretches of
not doing a whole lot
unproductive play.
Because Cooper Kupp was getting all the work.
Yeah, and Henderson was getting a lot of work.
Higbee
was getting a lot of work, and Van Jefferson was getting a lot of work, and it was coming at the expense of Robert Woods' floor. So
week 1, 3 for 27 and a touchdown. Not great, but the touchdown buoys it. Week 2, 5 for 64. 3 for 33 week 3, not good. 4 for 48.
I think Robert Woods is going to get undervalued.
4, 12 for 150.
I don't think he's going to be overvalued. I think he's going to be undervalued. He's going to drop way down.
Yeah.
And I think by, 4 months from now, you're going to be able to get him ADP-wise at a pretty reasonable spot.
The concern
I'm not shying away from any of these Rams. That was the core of your question. I'm not shying away from any of these Rams next year. I'm inclined to shy away from Robert Woods as an older player coming back from an ACL. I am inclined to be, because I've liked Robert Woods, and obviously his situation is just fine, except for the fact that he's now on the other side of 30 and he tore his ACL. That is a concern. Maybe the year after he does okay. That's the general mantra with the ACL injury. It's not the first year they return. We're seeing
the second year they return.
We're seeing Achilles injuries get resolved in 5 months.
That's one player.
We're seeing Jones fractures
name another
get
example
resolved
of that,
in 6
though.
weeks. We're seeing
name another example of that Achilles injury though. Cam Akers is an outlier.
No, I'm just saying modern medicine is
way younger,
speeding forward at crazy rates. I don't know if you can say. I mean, even a few years ago, we were saying ACLs ain't what they used to be, but I think we need to really start.
I agree.
We've seen players come back from ACLs same year, wide receivers in the same age group here, and do fine. Jarvis Landry.
What do you mean the same year? The same calendar year?
No, not the same calendar year, but the next season.
You're
predicting.
Jarvis Landry
had
a terrible year this year. Are you talking? When did he suffer? When did Jarvis Landry suffer?
No, we're talking 2 years ago.
Okay. Last year he was all right. This year
he was their best wide receiver considering Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I think
I have some
Robert
pause.
Woods is going to be such a discount this year. I think people are going to be way out on him. You might be able to get him in the 9th, 10th round.
It might be 8th round, 9th round.
Because Van Jefferson's going to go ahead of him. Cooper Kupp is obviously going to go ahead of him. So where was Van Jefferson? Van Jefferson going last year? Because I think that's where Robert Woods is going to be going next year.
Nah, it won't be that late. Van was going 15th round.
Okay, well, 10th round. 10th round, I could see Robert Woods going.
Van Jefferson's ADP right now is 113. Robert Woods' ADP is 80. So Van is actually 45 spots cheaper than Robert Woods.
I think that's
the guy. Van is the guy to continue to target based on that.
Well, yes, but I think
those ADPs will change. But if Robert Woods' ADP goes up and Van Jefferson's ADP goes up, I still want Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
Over Robert
I would agree.
Woods.
Yeah, I'm just not shying away from any of these guys based off of where I expect their ADP to be at next season or going into next season.
Kupp is a top 10 pick. So,
I'm not shying away from him, but I'm not exactly targeting him either. I'm not.
Kupp's top 10, and he's the wide receiver 1 right now. So he's going over Tyreek Hill. He's going over Devontae Adams. He's going over Justin Jefferson. He's going over Jamar Chase. And deservedly so right now based off of his season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want Kupp over Devontae Adams, obviously assuming what happens with Aaron Rodgers. But anyway, Kupp is top 10, and then Robert Woods is all the way down at 80, and then Van Jefferson is down to 113. We'll see what happens with Odell, but I would say Van remains my favorite target based on
Yes.
the ADP from that group.
Yes.
So,
I mean,
Anyway.
you can't coming into this last season, you said go out and get the guy from Tampa Bay who had the lowest ADP, Antonio Brown. And in terms of
that didn't
fantasy
work.
points per game, he was wide receiver 6. By process-wise, you did the right thing. He's just a head case.
he just
Has some things to work
blew
out.
up. Yeah. Plus, he got
But
some
this year, you could say that Van Jefferson is that guy. High-powered offense, probably lowest ADP by the time we go into the season.
for
But I
sure.
think there is a chance that Robert Woods' ODP is a little lower once the hype builds on Van Jefferson. But
Okay.
we'll
Yeah,
get
I
there when
mean,
we get there.
We'll see what happens. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, long way to go on that as far as figuring out who's worth it at what cost. But we also
Oh,
gotta
and
see
yo,
how
Iron
Woods
never
comes
lies.
back.
You have Javonte, Chase, and Najee already on your team. All right.
Did you get it wrong? No.
I mean, maybe I would. Out of those guys, based off of what they've been doing, I think I would go get a Chase jersey, man. Chase looks like
get it. Yeah,
he's
gonna win. I mean, he's going to. He's in the conversation to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like,
yeah.
Dude looks incredible. He's the dynasty wide
That's
receiver
a
one
fun
right
jersey
now,
to own
easily.
because that's one of the funnest players to watch, if not the most fun player to watch right now. The most fun combination is him and Burrow right now in all of football. It's even more fun than watching Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams because it's still unexpected from Burrow and Chase. It's still like, wow. And Chase can just do some things with his like
He's fast.
his body control on some of those pirouette catches that he was doing, just like catching it over somebody's head, doing a twirl on the sideline. Made those catches a bunch of times last week.
Yeah.
He's just impressive, man. That'd be a fun jersey to own, because he's a fun guy to watch. And Shane Tuck, congratulations.
What's going on, Shane? Hell yeah. 3-time champ. You love to see it.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate this. Yeah, appreciate the support. We will have plenty of off-season content in the coming days and weeks. Probably not necessarily like DFS, but be on the like if you're playing DFS for the NFL playoffs. Full disclosure, that's probably something to look elsewhere for.
We might
but
have
we'll
a
have
little bit of content on it.
Yeah. I don't
But
know if I trust
other
myself.
people, I mean, that's a whole nother beast.
It's a whole
Hopefully, we open
other
up to that
monster.
eventually.
Yeah.
Once this channel grows, and we don't have day jobs, so
True.
that's a factor.
But rookie
yeah.
profiles, stuff around the combine, the draft, free agency, guys we like in best ball, guys we like in dynasty, just in general, among other
lot of
things.
dynasty content.
We'll have plenty of off-season stuff for everybody.
We want to start some face mask leagues. So there was some talk about that in season. Now we can start that back up again. So if anybody here wants to join a league, there's 7 of us in here. If there's anybody in here wants to join a league with us, stay tuned. We'll be
We'll look for opportunities to add those.
Yep, pretty soon. I've never bought a championship belt.
Nah, we have trophies.
Yeah.
We have trophies, but never had a belt. Never had a belt. Let me see what we got here. Of course, it's the first Google search.
And do you think the Packers pay A. Rodgers to
I don't
stay
know
in
if he
Green Bay
wants.
for at least 2022? I mean, if they're gonna franchise
wants to
tag
come
Devontae
back, then-
Adams, that might be just a power play move to try to get Aaron Rodgers to stay, because there were rumors of them being a package deal on the free agent market. That you could go after both if you have enough cap space. So there's some built-in rapport wherever he ends up. That doesn't look like it's gonna happen. The team is gonna use Devontae Adams as like a hostage play to see if they can wrangle him in for another year.
Sure.
And the success that he's having right now, I would find it hard to believe that
Packers will do whatever they can. The
Right.
question is that enough?
Because he can go to a team that's a better team. He can go to a team with more talent on it, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
The question is, are the friendships that he's built and the relationships that he's built in Green Bay over the past few seasons with this current group of guys enough to keep him there?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
I don't know about that.
I don't think he wants to be Ben Roethlisberger and just. I think he wants to be Peyton Manning. I don't think he wants to play for 2 seasons in the same spot, like just play for the same team forever, play for 2 seasons and just be bad and everybody knowing that you're going to be out soon. I think he wants to go out on a Super Bowl. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, I think he would retire. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, I think he retires. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, I think he goes somewhere else, tries to win the Super Bowl, and then walk off. Because I think he wants to walk off like Aaron Rodgers or like Peyton Manning walked off. I think he wants to walk off like, I just won the Super Bowl, peace. Reminder that I'm the best in the game, peace. I think he's different like that. I think he's different like that. Yeah.
He's going for NFL records at this point.
No, I think in Aaron Rodgers' brain, he doesn't have anything to prove at this point. He's not trying to break everybody's records.
First ballot. If he retires today,
he wants like the coolest narrative to go out on. I think. Like he's not Tom Brady trying to like rack up as many championships as he can get before his body
that's over.
Falls apart.
The chance for that is over.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to find like what's the coolest narrative for me to go out on, and then for me to start the next phase of my life.
He has said multiple the one thing you can't question about with Rodgers is he loves to play. He loves to play football. He has voiced this in a multitude of ways multiple times. I don't know. I don't think this is it for him because if he can I think he's enticed. But here's the thing. Rodgers loves football. And there's something else he loves. He loves being in the spotlight. He loves, and you know, I'm not trying to
He could go elsewhere and be in the spotlight. He doesn't need to be playing football to be in the spotlight. That's just where he is. That's just what he's doing right now.
But he could continue to be the talk of the offseason each and every single day if he's a free agent. Every single day will be Aaron Rodgers watch. On SportsCenter, it'll be Rodgers watch.
Look, all I'm saying is if he wins a Super Bowl in this season, after winning the MVP last season, I think the narrative is too good for him, and he would just walk off into the sunset. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he will go elsewhere to try to win one and walk off into the sunset.
I think he's more likely to go to another team regardless of how this season ends. Because I think he wants an opportunity to create that type of buzz for potentially days or weeks. Where's Aaron Rodgers going to go play? He'll create that buzz
regardless of what he does.
Yeah, but people are going to care less if it's like Rodgers is picking between hosting Jeopardy and becoming a director. I don't know. I think he plays. And I think he goes to a different team, and I think he extends his
I think he goes to a different team because I don't know if this team actually ultimately wins the Super Bowl. If they win the Super Bowl,
they might
stand by it. They might this year. They might this year,
but I don't think that's enough. I don't think winning the Super Bowl is enough for Rodgers to retire this year. I think he wants more. I think on top of that, he wants an opportunity to be like, hey, now I'm a free agent. Where am I going to go? And nobody ever
realizes. I think he realizes that he can basically go anywhere and do anything. because he's Aaron Rodgers. He could be an
Yeah.
analyst and be great at it. He could be a host of a game show and be great at it. He can, like,
I don't know.
I think his ego is such where it's just like, you know what?
I think he continues to play, personally.
Okay.
I do. Because he loves to play. He has said that.
Yo, do you have IDP? Or did you have Micah Parsons? He did have a crazy
Iron?
rookie year. That guy looked incredible.
Yeah, he looks pretty damn good, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
He looks pretty good.
Yeah. Where
We
did he
don't do
go?
IDP.
Where did he go in the draft?
Parsons, I think he went, did he go 11? 11th? 11th or 12th? Something like that. He went high.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog's making noises if he's gonna as if he's gonna throw up.
Uh-oh.
It's over there.
Shouldn't
He's
be
like,
laughing. You all right?
Nah, I think he's fine.
All right.
But
What are your predictions for the playoffs? And do you have any sleeper guys that you're looking at going into the offseason? Did you win in that league, Iron?
what is your question? Like playoff sleepers? As a team or players?
No, yeah, just team, just talking football.
Well, the Bengals. I mean, how can you not feel good about Cincinnati right now in that offense? You know, they are absolutely a threat to make some noise. They just beat the Chiefs. I think they're a sleeper in the AFC. In the
Titans.
NFC, I don't think there's really a sleeper. I think it's the Packers. I think the Rams are decent, but I honestly think the Rams can be beaten. And then it's the Bucks. I don't think anybody. I mean, there's not a lower seed in the NFC that I look at as like, oh, this team could make some noise. Obviously, the Cowboys are going to be trendy, but the Cowboys are so inconsistent.
And just lost Gallup, so that'll hurt.
Just lost a key piece on offense.
Can't trust Zeke.
Just lost to the team that they are most likely to play in the playoffs in Arizona. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Bucks, despite everything that's going on with Tampa Bay, they still have Tom Brady and they still have that defense. They still have that. Well, the secondary is a question, but they still have that. They do still have
weapons. Speaking of which, Cyril Grayson.
Yeah.
Is that a guy to look out for in the offseason?
No, he's 28. He's bounced around.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to him. He made a big catch to help the Bucks beat the Jets, but no. Oh, and Iron does play IDP in one league.
Well, you were a fan of Jalen Darden coming into the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie 4th round pick. I think he was either injured or he spent some time on the COVID list. Yep. I mean, you see these types of things all the time where a guy like is a 4th or 5th rounder, but he doesn't really play, but he's got a, opportunity to develop.
Well, who do you think, I mean, since going into next season, we now have to extrapolate. We already were going to account for the loss of Chris Godwin, right?
Yeah, I think he moves on.
I was always under the impression that they were going to work out something with AB going into next season because he would probably come cheap and be cheap production for Tom Brady and their best friends, and it would work out. And That's obviously not going to happen.
Right.
So they got Scotty Miller, they got Jalen Darden, they got Tyler Johnson opposite Mike Evans for this foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And Gronk and Brady.
Gronk will play for as long as
out after this
Gronk
year.
will play for as long as Brady's around. They will both retire.
Yep.
Like if Brady retires, Gronk will also retire.
Yep.
As far as who's going to step up, we got to let that's a team. They could sign. They could sign a veteran. Like what?
Yeah.
Maybe they sign Allen Robinson.
Okay.
Just something to think about.
Julio Jones.
Ugh, no, pass.
I'm just saying he's going to be out there. AJ
That's
Green.
cool. Somebody else can draft
Get all those guys. Get AJ Green and Julio Jones and Allen Robinson all on the same squad and have the best 2016.
Bucks are going to have the best team in 2013.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And Tom Brady would make it work.
Chuck's checking sleeper out. Best number of teams for a brand new dynasty league. That's up to you. 12, honestly, I have 12. I would love to play a 14 or a 16 person, just for that extra level of a challenge, like having other players or two other managers with their own group of good players that shrinks the talent pool even further.
Yep,
sounds like a fun challenge. But 12 is fine. Dynasty, like if you're doing dynasty, like if you're not doing any like what am I trying to say? Anything that's kind of like shrunk down or like a reduced experience. We have 30-man roster spots or 30-man rosters. 10 starters, 20 bench spots. The default is 3 injured reserve spots. There's a lot of people, I see this on Twitter all the time, like where they just make it like unlimited IR spots or like, they have 10 or 15 or some crazy number. But 30 roster spots, I think, is kind of something of like a default setting for Dynasty.
Yeah, I like that. So
Superflex is definitely the preferred format for Dynasty. One quarterback. I don't know. You have too many good quarterbacks on your bench. Like there's like 2/3 of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, there might be guys that are starting in the league that are on the waiver wire. So the Superflex adds a little bit more competition for you. Tight end premium is an option that adds a little bit more emphasis into tight ends, just because they're kind of a devalued position just by the nature of the position in the NFL right now.
Just a much thinner talent pool. Yeah.
What else?
That's kind of the general gist.
More flex spots than anything. Say no to kickers and defense.
Yeah, more flex. Like you could have 10 starters, make like 3 of those spots flex spots. Excuse me. Yeah, kickers and defenses.
Hey, Mike,
do
good
it.
To hear. Awesome.
Hey,
congrats. Like to hear, man.
And he went with Dylan. Yep, Dylan came through in a big way.
Yep.
When the Packers are at home and the temperatures are frigid like that, like 5 degrees, play their big running back. That's all there is to say about that. Dylan is really good.
Yeah.
Very interesting player for next year. But yeah, Chuck, add flex spots. Like some people do kickers and defenses for Dynasty. I personally don't like it.
Squad. Have a taxi squad
is
have
cool.
IR spots.
You can explain that one.
Those are 2 big things. Taxi squad and have IR spots. Taxi squad works where you can just put your rookies basically on a taxi squad, where if you put them onto your active roster, they stay on your active roster. You can't put them back on your practice squad, and you can't put anybody from your active roster back on your practice squad. And I believe there is a year limit or something like that of how long you can keep a player on your practice squad. It might be 2, depending on whatever the commissioner sets it to. But I do believe that it adds another fun dynamic. It might seem a little complicated until you see how easy it is to work in on Sleeper. And that just means that when you're rolling over year into year, you might not have to cut good players you don't want to cut just because you traded for a couple of picks and you have too many players before the cut down day. It just gives you a little bit more headroom there. So I like taxi squads. They're very uncomplicated the way that Sleeper presents them. And that's why we like Sleeper. Yeah.
Sleeper is my preferred place to play, because as much as I like customization,
ease of
having
use
to set literally
huge.
Everything up is a tall task.
Yep.
Am I having camera issues? Yeah, I am. All right, should be fixed.
I think you're all right.
But anyway, I mean, there's not too much in the chat today.
Because everybody won. Yeah.
Obviously, everybody's most people their leagues have wrapped up. We wanted to do this as an opportunity for anybody who is still playing this week. In the event that you have like a waiver question or a waiver pickup, but also if you
guys take a victory lap.
Yeah, take your victory laps. If any, cheers to the winners.
Iron.
To the victor goes the spoils.
It's good to hear Shane Tuck.
Yeah, celebrate. Have a drink, have a couple. Screw it. That's what winning's all about. Celebrating. Yeah, responsible. Yeah, mix in a water break here and there.
Hey.
But yeah. Guess we don't have too much else today. Obviously this it's fresh. The end of the fantasy season is brand new for pretty much for most leagues, nearly all leagues. So not too much today, maybe not a ton in this week in the way of content, but obviously be on the lookout for off-season stuff. If you do play this week, we will be hosting one more live stream this week. It will be Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, so feel free to come hang out for that. We are not going to be doing our early Sunday morning stream this week, again, because most of you are done. Most of you have already played. So if you do play Week 18 and you want to hang out, if you have any questions that you want to get answered, we will be here Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
Or it could just be another victory lap if anybody cares to join for that as well. We can talk some off-season stuff. Happy to do that. But we will, if anybody's coming in with Week 18 questions, we will of course prioritize those. But yeah, I don't know. This one specifically might be a little bit shorter. We just wanted to, if anybody hang out with everybody who won.
If anybody else has any more questions, throw them in the chat. We always anticipated this one was going to be a little bit of a shorter one with a little bit less of an audience, just because. I mean, fantasy is a grind. Some people, it's just like they can now take a deep breath and put their phones down and not have to worry so much, because whatever they were deliberating over for the good part of 4 months, it's over.
Your work's done. Your work is as fun as this is, as so much fun as it is. Yeah, like you said, it's a grind on a day-to-day basis. It's a second job. It's a mini job, like constantly keeping an eye on updates, constantly keeping an eye on player status. Who's worth keeping at the end of my bench? Who's worth picking? Who's the guy that makes most sense to drop, even though I don't really want to drop anybody? Like
depending on your format,
mental grind.
You're limited to, if you're not playing in Dynasty, you're not playing in Keeper, you got nothing to look at for 6 months here. But we're here for you if you do play Dynasty. If you're looking to get into Dynasty, Chuck, man, we're gonna have a few discussions about that in the off season.
Streams will still happen in the off season. You'll still physically see us. You won't just hear us.
Yep. And we'll be starting up some leagues at some point, some Dynasty leagues at some point, something like that, with you guys pretty soon.
That'll be fun.
Next stream, we should also be on Twitch if that matters to anybody. We will have that.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're in.
Yeah.
Anticipating that should go without a hitch, right? We haven't had any technical issues this year at all. Ha!
Hey, we'll get better as we get better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm just poking fun at our own blooper reel, so to speak.
We have those.
We do have those. It's fun to look back on that. But yeah, congrats again to everybody who won. Good luck to everybody who's still playing. Yeah, this has been a fun year. It's been a grind for us as well. This is our first year doing this, so we of course appreciate anybody who has come along for the ride. Hopefully we helped more than we hurt. That was always the goal. So so cheers to you guys for sure.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us this long. Appreciate it.
When should we draft your Dynasty League? When we set ours up, we did an auction, and you could do a draft or an auction. Obviously, it's it's up to your league. How
But
you
I will
wanna do
say,
that.
if you have the time to set up to do an auction with everybody in your league, I do believe that's
the better format.
the preferred way to go.
Because you have a chance at everybody.
Right. If you're doing a snake draft for a dynasty draft, every team comes out very even. There isn't a lot of variance between the teams, and there isn't a lot of diversity to the league.
Like there might be a couple top heavy teams in an auction. There might be some teams that are clearly like they're starting out kind of young.
Yeah, it might be like, all right, I need to go into a rebuild. It kind of
The auction gives you the opportunity it's like I can get whoever I choose to get.
If you're coming in from redraft, the auction is comfortable. But the draft is comfortable, but an auction is a lot more. I believe requires a little bit more skill, some more patience. It's a little bit more rewarding if you get it right.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Oh yeah, Mike. Antonio Brown didn't cost you. Good job.
He cost he cost a lot of people.
I'm sure we got some unsubs because we were recommending him and Ronald Jones. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we recommended AB.
What are you gonna do?
Didn't expect a mid game explosion.
Meltdown. Right.
Yeah. But Chuck, as far as when we did our auctions in July, like before training camp started. If that helps. We didn't wait until September because the idea is this is your team forever. So you don't need to wait until the idea of waiting until September is for redraft and keeper when like training camp is over. You know the injury situation. You know
what I will say is don't
the starter's
do it after
in a position.
Do it
battle.
after the regular draft though. Like don't do it before the regular draft because the rankings regular before the actual NFL draft of where rookies should go are usually just completely mixed up as soon as the draft hits.
Right. Yeah, it's it makes much more sense to have it when you know who's on what team.
Right.
But you don't have to wait for camp battles to play out and for injuries to happen or not happen in the preseason because this is your team forever. The whole idea is if you like this guy, you're not worried about his position battle, and you can't, we can't operate worrying about will this guy get injured. That you can say literally the same thing about literally every player. So we held it in July before training camp started.
Yeah, and I think that was a good time for it.
Iron, I appreciate the I've got some allergies right now, so I'm kind of gross today. So thanks to everybody sticking in here despite my my sniffles. I took an antihistamine, so I might be falling asleep kind of early today. Dude, for me, allergy season never ends. So I appreciate
Iron, thank you for the recommendation. That's good to know.
Yeah, appreciate the
exact components down. I like that.
What's that?
He's like an alchemist over here, knows all the.
Yeah, for real. I don't even know what half of this stuff is, but I'll be okay. But yeah, it's I've had better days, but I'm all right. Appreciate it.
Mike, I think he also needs a little bit of an O line, but yeah, man, a QB would help, and I don't think they have one on the roster. I don't think Dwayne Haskins or Mason Rudolph are the answer. They need to go out and get a guy.
He's a top 7-8 guy with a bad O-line. I'm not even worried about the offensive line. If they get a better quarterback, Najee's going to be just fine. I mean, he's being drafted as the fifth or sixth player off the board right now, according to Underdog for 2022. So
yeah, he's legit.
People have plenty of confidence in Najee. And I think he's still top 10, even if it's Mason Rudolph, God forbid, I would still take Najee.
I mean, there was a rumor that they might try to bring Ben back, but it didn't look like by last night's showing that.
It's over.
Yeah,
I think it's
with him
it's
taking
over.
his victory lap around the field and stuff. It looked like he was like
he knew it was his last.
He wasn't coming back for another year. So It's gonna be somebody.
Somebody new.
Sam
if
Darnold
it's
on a 1-year
Rudolph,
deal.
That sucks, but
Jameis Winston.
That would be much better.
That would be enticing.
That would be much better than any. That's better than Ben right now.
Yeah. Hey, at least he could throw it down the field.
Yeah.
I would kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie.
I would have like Najee's top. Jameis Winston. Yeah, no problem with Najee in the top 5.
Yeah.
If it's Mason Rudolph, maybe I have some pause, but I'd still draft him in the top 10.
Yeah.
I'd still draft him in the top 10. The bad quarterback doesn't sway me from him being a first-round pick.
Yeah, Najee is good.
He's good. But yeah. E11, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Hey, at least you were in the. That means you were in the playoff though, and every single
gave yourself a shot, right? At the end of the yes, obviously, just making the playoffs and not coming in the top 2, or obviously, winning the league is ultimately kind of disappointing. But you got to still take a step back, pat yourself on the back for, a playoff team is a playoff team.
You made it.
You gave yourself a shot. It doesn't go down every year.
It's something superficial to hold on to.
Sure.
Doesn't really mean much to anything but you, but hey.
You can take it as a sign of all right, let's build on this for next year.
Yeah, at least that was good enough to get in.
Right. You get to the dance, you give yourself a chance. Chance didn't work out this year. Maybe it happens next year. Thanks. Is that a bar? I'm calling it a bar.
A little bit.
I'll take it. But yeah, one more time, E11, in case you're joining late. As far as next season, you have not heard the last from us. We are not going anywhere. Plenty of offseason content to look forward to. Rookie profiling, of course, free agency fallout, draft fallout.
If you're not in a dynasty league, we're going to be starting some up, so stay tuned, and you can be involved in that.
Yeah, if anybody's interested, we'll put a post. I'll put a post on our community tab when the time comes. We'll be looking for people to. Yeah, could be a dynasty league, could be something crazy like the Guillotine League. We'll look to implement a couple of things with the viewers as well, or with the audience as well.
Yep.
Because that just sounds like a lot of fun, and something like a Guillotine League is something I've never done, but something I'd like to try. There's a lot of different formats and ways to play. So
yeah, I first heard about a Guillotine League 2 years ago, and I think I hit you up when you were still in Philly and was like, "Yo, have you heard about this?"
Yeah, we yelled
about it.
Have you seen
this? Have you heard about this?
Yeah. You came over to my apartment after work, and we screamed about it for like an hour and a half, because that was normal behavior.
Well, you played what? Primal, not Primal. Far Cry.
Some PS4 game.
Far Cry 4.
Nah, that's
or Horizon Zero Dawn. You played a lot of the
game.
two of those.
Horizon was a great game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yo, you didn't lose the championship for the 4th year in a row. Yeah.
Whoops. So does that mean you had like a string of losing 3 in a row?
But that means you got to the championship, so.
True. Means you got to the title game. I mean, you're still pulling
your
in
league's
ideally
Buffalo Bills of the 90s. That's all right.
You're getting a runner-up paycheck for winning, whatever you want to call it. So it's better than nothing.
That does suck, though. I'm not gonna lie.
That
would
made
it to the ship
that would be a
3 years in
crappy
row and didn't win
string
once.
of losses.
Yeah. Hey, we'll get you there next year. But yeah, stay tuned this year, man.
That's the plan.
Through the off season.
Yep, we will be here. I think that's about it for tonight, though.
Yeah.
I'm a little sniffly, and I don't feel like having you guys having to listen to.
Yeah, Nick needs some tea. He needs to go lie down. He needs some of that bromelain and curcumin.
Yeah. I need to get in the lab apparently and concoct myself some.
You need to freeze your feet like AB.
I'm not gonna freeze my feet like AB. I'm not going into no cryogenic hyper chamber, whatever it's called.
Yeah, but cryogenic's got your name in it.
True.
No.
Good job.
All right. Yeah. That's how we know. That's how we know we should stop the show.
Like one last question about how from Iron about how big should a dynasty roster be?
30 roster spots.
15 is fine as far as bench slots. We have 20. In the dynasty leagues that I'm in, we have 20 bench spots. And in the off season, Chuck, man, if you're still in here, this would also apply to you. In the off season, we have 30 bench spots. So the roster is 40 in total. And then that accounts for offseason additions and the rookie draft, because you'll hold a rookie draft each year. And then at the end of the preseason, kind of like how the NFL shrinks their roster, in Dynasty, we also shrink our roster. So you have to make cuts to get back down from 40 to 30. So we do 30 roster spots in total during the season. During the offseason, it's 40. To account for, like, you know, kind of like the situation where teams get to sign undrafted free agents and they add their draft picks. Similar idea in Dynasty, where you can add a few roster spots temporarily. It allows you to, you know, analyze. You can see, like, okay, I like this guy over this guy. Maybe I wasn't planning on keeping this guy over this guy, but he's just been looking better in the offseason. So I'm gonna, you know, cut this dude that I wasn't planning to, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
And easy money. You love to hear it. Good job, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Looks like some easy money.
2 for 2. That's beautiful. That's yeah. Take 2 victory laps. Congratulations. But yeah, we do 30-man rosters, generally speaking, for Dynasty. So 15 is fine. You know, at the end of the day, it's up to your league. How do you guys want to, you know, have it? But we have 30 in total.
Yeah, I think 30's good, and I like to switch to 40 in the off season just so you can better evaluate. Gives you a little bit of time too, so you don't have to figure it out right now, to get people out of your IR spots and drop people and all that stuff. So yeah, that is nice. That is nice. Yeah,
the roster cuts are a cool little wrinkle that is very similar to the NFL, and so
yeah.
You know,
there might be people that are on other people's rosters that you want that they don't covet, and they cut, and they end up on your squad. Yep. Yeah.
I've had to do it's that. Fun.
Yeah.
And then you got it right. It's like,
I had to cut some good players in a league. I'm in the league with Nick.
Who got cut that you picked up?
I dropped DJ Dallas, just straight up.
Oh, well, he contributed sort of at the end of the season, so yeah. Things happen. Guys become valuable at some other point, but it gives you an opportunity to
Tony
do some evaluation.
To pick up a guy I could put in straight into IR for the year.
You dropped Tony?
I traded Tony. Like, I was just getting rid of people because to put for people that I could put on IR.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I had too many players at roster cut time.
The roster cut feature is, or you know, having that as part of it is fun. Yeah, it gives you, like, the summer, June, July, August. You're, you know, on top of being a GM, you're a talent evaluator. You figure out who you want to keep.
Yeah,
it's fun little wrinkle that's very similar to how the NFL conducts their business.
And a tie. What would you guys think?
What do you think of a tie championship?
Well, that's why you just never do non-decimal.
So, scoring. But it's happened before, even with decimals. To me, it goes
makes it a lot less likely.
I think it would first go. I mean, this can be debated. It would first go to probably head-to-head, either head-to-head record between the two. Or like,
points.
or who scored the most points for the season, or who finished ahead of who in the standings during the season. That would probably be something that's
one-handed push-ups, you know.
Yeah, that's a good conversation to have with the league, and that's on the commissioner. Like, why did he get the default tiebreaker? Because he's the commissioner? That's not how it should be done. It should be some combination, or one of these is like the ultimate factor of head to head. Like, yeah, maybe I was the lower seed, but I beat you in the regular season. Like that, there's an argument for that. There's an argument for who had a better record during the season. Like, did I finish 9-5, but he finished 11-3, so he gets the win, or who scored the most points? That might be that might be my favorite indicator. Like, points to me, points scored over the course of the season, like
championship week for Smokey the Cat. Play Hurts.
Oh, what's going on?
And play
Smokey?
Cook. I don't think you can not play Cook.
I don't think you can play Hurts. I don't know if the Eagles are going to play all their guys. The Eagles have incentive to I would play Taysom. The Eagles have incentive to rest players.
Don't the Eagles have a ton of COVID too?
Yeah, they put a bunch of dudes on the COVID list. I almost wonder if that's a fake. I wonder if it's like a fake report. These guys don't actually have COVID, but it's an excuse to hold all their starters out. It was set. Okay, hang on real quick. It was set as best record. Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, fine. I guess I'm talking myself into preferring in a tie who scored more points during the regular season. That to me is the clearer indicator of who has the best team. Like if I go 7-7 or 7 or 8-8 or whatever it is, but I scored the second most points, I don't care what anybody says. I have a good team, better than most. My record might not indicate it, but my points do.
True.
That would probably be my ultimate, like, that's what I would fight for as a tiebreaker. Who scored more points during the season?
Yeah.
Because that also factors into not just, oh, how good is your team? How good were you at making lineup decisions on a week-to-week basis? That factors into that too. I would probably say most points.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Most points, I would say, is the best indicator of who had the better team over the course of the season, regardless of how lucky you got in that specific head-to-head matchup.
You asked to change it to decimals, and they haven't changed it?
The tie hasn't happened since changing the points.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes it a lot less likely.
I would say most points. Points scored, to me, is the strongest indicator of how good your team is, regardless of your record.
Yeah.
Like, there is something on like this is a constant conversation on Twitter where leagues should have the last playoff spot go to the last team remaining who has scored the most points of the teams who still haven't clinched. Not necessarily the team with the best record of the teams still needing to clinch the playoffs, if that makes sense. So if I win 3 games, this is an unlikely scenario, but I'm just going to use it as an example. If I win 3 games, my head-to-head record sucks, but I got super unlucky that year, got everybody's best effort, and just so happened to be on the wrong side of some matchups, and I scored like the 5th most points in the league. There are some who argue like my team should get the last playoff spot despite the 3 wins. Points is, to me, the strongest indicator of how good your team is, not head-to-head record. So, yeah, most points.
That would suck to have that 6th spot, though.
It would, but that's obviously something you agree upon going into the season. But I see it on Twitter all the time. Like I see people go so far as to say is like, if you don't have that setting, then you're doing it wrong. Like people stand on that most points scored hill, and I'm kind of inclined to agree. But you're talking about taking down a very old traditional, or you're talking about a very a rule that not everybody's going to like.
True.
So, because tradition. But Smokey the Cat Guy, just to wrap up your question about championship week, I would you'll have the benefit of maybe knowing, check the Eagles inactive list going into the game. Even if Hurts isn't on it, I just don't expect him to play all that much. The Eagles playoff spot is clinched. They can't climb higher than the 6 or 7 seed. There's not too much incentive for them to worry about that. They're going to have to play either the Bucs or the Rams regardless. So, for a team, given the situation that the Eagles are in from last year to this year, I don't think they care too much about their playoff opponent as the 6 or 7 seed. I think they take this opportunity this week to rest starters, including Hurts. Whereas the Saints can still clinch a playoff spot and have everything to play for. I would play Taysom. Cook got hurt on Sunday night, right? Or he exited the game. The game was out of hand.
I think he just exited the game because the game was out of hand. Did he get hurt? I didn't see that.
He came up hobbled. He came up hobbled late in the game, and wasn't. I don't think he was able to finish. Madison got more fantasy points than Dalvin Cook did. Madison mixed in more at the end, obviously with the game out of hand, but also I think Cook got banged up at the end of the game. So just keep an eye on him. Just keep an eye on Cook. He's very likely, or not likely.
And join us on Saturday.
He very much could be someone to bench. That's
we'll
another
have a
thing.
Clearer idea of people's statuses going into Saturday night. So
that's another thing. I said 6 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna have to go earlier than that because there are games on Saturday.
Okay. What time are the games?
I think the first game is like 7, not 7, maybe 4:15.
Your time?
No. Eastern. Week 18 NFL schedule. The first game is 4:30 on Saturday. Yep, we're gonna have to go earlier on Saturday.
Round 2.
Say 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. We'll do one more show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, Mike, there you go. That's exactly my point. 4th most points scored came in last place. There are a lot of people in this industry and in this community that would argue that team should have gotten the last playoff spot because they scored more points than over half the league.
Yeah. I get that.
There are a lot of people who would argue that team should get a playoff spot.
And Smokey the Cat, and when you play in the last game of the season, this is the stuff that you have to worry about. This is why we always advocate that your championship should be the week before the last game of the season, so you don't have to worry about, even in a COVID year, playing backups instead of your starters, because that's just, frankly, it's unfair to everybody involved. It's unfair to the people who aren't in the championships with good lineups. It's unfair to the people in championships who built great starting lineups and can't rely on them. So take that up with your commissioner. But as far as players this week, it's something you have to keep in mind as far as people that you expect to only play 1 to 2 series versus, or maybe even not at all, versus players that are going to be getting a nice long run and what might be meaningless football. So,
yep. Play guys that are still playing for something. Like the teams are playing for something. Absolutely.
And Chuck, man, are you saying in terms of when you're creating a league? Because I don't believe if you're creating a dynasty league that you should have any real evaluation of trades outside of, is this collusion or not? If it's if something is collusion, obviously the commissioner or the league or whatever, people would have to step in and get that addressed. But as far as trades outside of anything defined by your league, I would just let everything go through, because
you kind of have to.
You have to assume that both sides agree, both sides are adults. Hopefully you're whatever. They're managers of their team. They have to make sure that they're doing what they're doing for the long term of their team. It's dynasty. They got to live with the repercussions if they make a bad trade, and vice versa. So I really wouldn't. I would leave the evaluation of trades to the people that are making the trades, unless it's collusion. You don't want to step in as a commissioner or a third party and say, I don't like that trade, because you make 2 enemies. You don't want to do that. Personally. Your camera
Sorry, I'm having some video issues over here. I mean, there's going to be more.
I've had trades vetoed where it's like in the moment that looks, wow, that's lopsided. And then, 3 weeks later, it's like, if you guys wouldn't have vetoed that trade, it really wouldn't have worked out the way everybody thought it would. And it just leads to some bad blood and disagreements. And so vetoing trades and that sort of thing and allowing vetoes of trades. I used to be about it, but I've come around to just being like, you know what?
You got to let things
Everybody
happen.
you got to let everybody make their own decisions and live with their own
Right.
decisions. And
The only
there's
people,
collusion,
if
stay out of it.
If two people come to an agreement on a trade, the other people in the league, like, it doesn't matter. This doesn't apply to you. You're not like, this is not a transaction that you're involved in. If team
Right.
A is a buyer and gets good players from team B, who's a seller and stinks, and team B gets future assets, you're just going to have to see the logic in the trade. You don't have to like it.
Now, I've seen trades
that's the
where
thing.
people will have a long-standing deal just like proposed, and then some news happens that makes a trade a lot more enticing. You know, if they were trading away Michael Thomas in a trade, and then Michael Thomas says he's not going to play for the year, so the guy on the other side, you know, instead of it just presses yes before the original person who sent out the offer could get to it. I've seen that happen. Even that, it was kind of just like a, hey man, you left a trade proposed out to an owner and you knew that it could come back and bite you in the butt.
Right. Or if you forgot,
Right.
like, I can't help you. That's on you. Like,
Right.
don't forget. Don't forget. If you have any type of pause about an offer, then
Pull it
don't
back.
submit it. Don't send it. Or if it's out there, kill it.
Yeah, you
Like,
got to live with your decisions. You can't have mulligans
Right.
in this. You got to live with your decisions.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I used to be all about having a little bit of a safety blanket when I first started, but nah.
Gotta let people do what they feel like is best for them.
Yeah.
You want to make a trade, and if it's like, this looked bad for me, but I like the deal, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the fun thing about Sleeper, Chuck, man, Sleeper makes it easy if you want and if you have the ability to make multi-team trades. Like, you can loop in a third team, a fourth team.
I haven't done that yet, but that always
Sleeper
seemed
makes-
kind of fun.
Well, three-way trades are way more likely in, say, like the NBA, because the NFL itself doesn't have a ton of trades. Obviously, fantasy has lots of trades, but the NFL doesn't have lots of.
I just mean
trades.
a three-way trade in fantasy. I've never seen it done.
It's Sleeper.
Yo, Sad J Cutler, glad you
Yahoo
won.
makes it hard, but Yahoo makes it, I think, basically impossible. But Sleeper, you can do three team trades for sure.
You made 133 moves, Sad J Cutler. Hey,
Damn.
stay water. I like that.
Damn.
See you in the off season, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for
Yes,
being
sir.
part of the community, bro.
Yes,
And
sir.
good job. Congratulations on winning.
Congrats on going back to back. That's awesome. Have
That's
a
the
drink.
goal for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And Ewell, you're welcome for the help as well. Believe this week is the last week. You gotta make sure. Okay, so this is another one where
Well,
it's
it
a
would
2-week
have to
series
be.
where the championship week spans 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it would be more like, in this scenario, week 14 stays a playoff week, week 15 is the semis, and then week 16 and 17 is championship week. But I've seen a couple here now where it's week 17 and 18 are the championship weeks. That's interesting.
I don't know if I would like that.
There's a lot to sift through. There's a lot of variables to overcome this.
I really don't like the idea of having to
Players.
manage week 18 inactives.
I just don't want to. Right. I don't want to have to deal with week 18.
Yeah, because that, I don't know, it kind of negates the whole reason you built the team that you built. You built the team to have great starters to get you to where you are, and then you're being forced to go away from that in the most important game.
Yeah.
It seems
No fun.
counterintuitive, counterproductive. I don't know the right word. It just seems wrong. Personally.
Mike, what about tanking a game to have a better matchup round one? Here's my thoughts on that. And by doing that, you cost the team getting the final spot. If you are acting by yourself You are acting alone. You are acting independent of anybody else.
As long as there's no collusion.
There's no collusion. You're not like texting somebody on the side in the background, like, "Hey, if I do this,
it's not conspiring between two or more teams.
Right.
It's you're making a one-man decision or one-woman decision to do this for yourself.
If you are
nobody else involved.
If you are acting alone and you think your moves sets you up better for the playoffs based on the matchup, excuse me, that's fine. That is your decision. The team that you're directly affecting or impacting just has to live with that, has to deal with that.
Yep.
As long as you are acting alone. That's how I feel about that. It sucks for that person. Like if I'm me, that you want to talk about bad blood, I would not like that person if it was me that was happening to. But they're within their right as long as they are acting independently of anybody else.
Basically, what I've kind of picked up over the years is you want to set up a league to make it so where all the onus is basically on the league members. And the commissioner only steps in when the league members really have an issue with something. Otherwise, just leave everything, leave trade decisions, leave start-sit decisions, allow the option to be fluid with COVID.
Right.
Starts like Nick has said throughout the offseason. But for the most part, let the managers manage. Don't put too many ifs, ands, or buts in the way. And let people live with the repercussions of their own choices. It's kind of how I view it. If I'm in any leagues where that's not really the general philosophy, I generally want to get out of that league.
Which one?
Just me. Huh?
Or there's a league you want to get out of?
No, I'm just saying if I'm in a league that doesn't allow that
hypothetical. Got it.
That doesn't allow that flexibility.
Then it's not a league I'm
that freedom, not flexibility.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to be in that league.
Yep.
And you will appreciate it.
Yes, sir. If you play, you can't play another week. The end of the season is this week, unless you're talking about a playoff, like an NFL playoff week. This has got to be the end of it. If it doesn't end now, and you're talking about playing, like dumping off into 2022.
Yeah.
So this has got to be it. So, yeah, but appreciate the support and
absolutely
get that win, get that dub.
And again, we'll be back on Saturday, 2 p.m.
Saturday
EST.
at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
Because there's 2 games on Saturday this week, so it'll be a little earlier than I said. 6 p.m. Eastern earlier. It's actually going to be 2 p.m. Eastern because it would seem silly to stream during the NFL games. So
yeah,
if you need any last minute help, we will be here 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And happy to bounce off any other questions about Dynasty or league rules or anything else. Happy to take those questions. We will, of course, prioritize any start-sit questions on Saturday to help anybody out who is still playing Week 18. But happy to do a general AMA again as well, and I'll be less sniffly at that time too.
Hope so.
That's the plan. But
take some of Iron Never Lies' advice.
I am gonna take some stuff and go lie down. I think that's my plan for the rest of the evening.
Go rub
that
yourself
being said,
and just go take a Windex bath.
I'm not gonna do that.
That'll probably kill you. Don't do that.
I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, I'm not that desperate to be done with this. but I think that about does it for tonight, guys.
Yep.
Once again, congratulations on all of the wins. On anybody who pulled in a championship, even if you didn't. Making the playoffs is still an accomplishment in and of itself. You might not have won any money, and obviously it's a there's
but
no.
Hey, thank you again for just tuning in with us and sticking with us throughout the season for however long you've been sticking with us, whether or not you found us 2 weeks ago or found us 16 weeks ago, or found us 3 months ago. We appreciate it. All your chats throughout the season, whether that's super chats or whatever, just being a part of this, subbing, liking, much appreciated.
Interacting.
Remember,
yep.
remember we're gonna be active in the off season, whether that's your thing or not. Regardless, we will be back next year if redraft is your thing and you just want to take a big break. But just
That's
thank
fair
you
too.
to everybody that's in here.
Yeah,
Thank
you
to
guys.
everybody that stuck with us throughout this whole season. Because I don't know about you, Nick, but I didn't expect to have 2,500 subs by the end of the year when we started.
No,
this.
I didn't know people cared to listen to us babble on this much.
And the aspect of having a live stream where we have people that love to come and hang out with us like you guys is it's cool. It's not just the grind of making videos all the time.
Right.
Being able to hang with you guys is a lot of fun.
Talk shop. Yeah, it's fun. So we're gonna just go ahead and do it all again next year too.
And the fact that we helped you guys win, man, it feels like we won a little bit. So
I feel I personally didn't win anything of huge
even though
significance this year for me,
we
but
should be taking credit for all the losses and everybody that's not here with us right now. But
well,
hey, we're just
they're
gonna
the
take
ones who
credit for your
are saying,
guys' good
screw those
decisions.
guys. But yeah, feels good to have people say that we were able to help in some sort of way. So
yep. But
That's
all
what we
right,
do.
guys, we're gonna sign off. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you guys Saturday at 2 p.m.
Saturday 2 p.m. Yep. Have a good one, guys. Congrats again.
Peace.